There is a piece of security camera footage that has been watched millions of times on the internet. If you spend any amount of time looking into unsolved mysteries, you have likely seen it. It shows a young, athletic man in a bright yellow t-shirt standing inside a modern airport terminal. Suddenly a switch flips. He turns, abandons his luggage, and begins to run. He doesn't just jog, he sprints. He sprints out of the sliding glass doors, across the sun-baked asphalt of the parking lot, and toward the perimeter. He climbs an 8-foot-tall security fence topped with barbed wire, drops down on the other side, and runs straight into a massive, dense field of sunflowers. And then he is gone. Forever. This isn't a scene from a thriller. It is the real documented final sighting of a 28-year-old German man named Lars Mittank. What could possibly make a completely rational, healthy young man abandon his passport, his phone, his wallet, and his ticket home, choosing instead to flee into the wilderness of a foreign country? Was he running from a genuine, terrifying threat that no one else could see? Or was he running from the sudden, catastrophic collapse of his own mind? Welcome to Dark Files. Today we break down the agonizing timeline, the bizarre medical clues, and the tragic mystery of Lars Mittank. To understand the sheer absurdity of how this story ends, we have to understand how utterly ordinary its beginning was. It is the end of June 2014. Lars Mittank is 28 years old. He lives in northern Germany, works at a power plant, and is, by all accounts, a completely typical young man. He loves his family, he loves his friends, and he loves football, specifically the German club Werder Bremen. He has no history of mental illness. He has no history of paranoia, no criminal record, and no drug problems. He is stable, dependable, and loved. On June 30th, Lars and 5 of his closest friends pack their bags and fly to Varna, Bulgaria. They are heading to the Golden Sands Resort, a famous, sprawling stretch of coastline on the Black Sea, known as the Bulgarian Ibiza. It's a place where young Europeans go to drink cheap alcohol, party in massive clubs, and lie on the beach until the sun goes down. For the first 5 days, the trip is exactly what it is supposed to be. Pictures from the vacation show Lars smiling, tanned, standing with his arms around his friends. They eat at local restaurants, they drink heavily. They watch the World Cup on big screens. But on July 5th, the carefree summer vacation fractures. Lars and his friends are at a bar, and a typical sports rivalry escalates. Lars gets into a verbal altercation with a group of other German tourists who happen to be fans of Bayern Munich. It's loud, it's aggressive, but it seems to blow over. However, later that night, after leaving a restaurant, Lars is separated from his friends. Exactly what happens next happens in the dark, and the details are murky. When Lars finally reunites with his friends at their hotel the next morning, he tells them that the Bayern Munich fans had hired some local Bulgarians to jump him. He says he was beaten up. His friends look him over. He doesn't look like a man who has just survived a brutal gang beating. He has a slightly bruised jaw, and he complains that his left ear is in intense pain. But he is walking, talking, and completely lucid. Still, the pain in his ear doesn't go away. So Lars visits a local doctor. This single medical visit will set off a chain reaction that will end in absolute tragedy. The local doctor examines Lars and gives him a straightforward diagnosis: a ruptured eardrum. It's a painful injury, but not life-threatening. However, there is a major complication. The doctor tells Lars that because of the rupture and the changes in cabin pressure, it is incredibly dangerous for him to fly. If he gets on a plane, the pressure could permanently damage his hearing. He is advised to stay in Bulgaria for a few more days, let the ear heal, and take a prescribed antibiotic to prevent infection. The antibiotic prescribed is called cefuroxime 500. On July 7th, it is time for his friends to go home. They offer to stay behind with him. They are a tight group, and they don't want to leave their friend alone in a foreign country with a busted ear. But Lars insists. He tells them it's fine. He says he will just book a cheap hotel for a night or two, wait for the clearance to fly, and catch a later flight back to Germany. There is no reason for all of them to miss work and pay for extra tickets. Reluctantly, his friends agree. They pack their bags, take a cab to Varna Airport, and fly back to Germany. As Lars watches his friends leave, he is entirely alone. He goes to a pharmacy, purchases the Cefuroxim 500, and checks into a cheap local accommodation called the Hotel Color. It is a small, nondescript building in a working-class neighborhood of Varna. It is a long way from the glamorous resorts of Golden Sands, and it is inside the walls of the Hotel Color that the mind of Lars Mittank begins to unravel. We know exactly what happened inside the Hotel Color because Lars made a series of frantic, terrifying phone calls to his mother, Sandra Mittank. Back in Germany, Sandra answers the phone expecting a mundane update from her son. Instead, she hears Lars whispering. His voice is tight, trembling with a primal, suffocating fear. He tells her that something is wrong. He says the hotel is unsafe. He tells her that people are outside, that they are looking for him, and that they are trying to rob him or kill him. He asks her to immediately contact his bank and cancel his credit cards. Sandra is bewildered and terrified. This is not her son. Lars is not a paranoid man. He is a logical, grounded power plant worker. But on the other end of the line, he sounds like a hunted animal. Lars texts his mother asking about the antibiotic he was prescribed. What is Cefuroxim 500? He writes. Throughout the night, the paranoia escalates into full-blown terror. The security cameras inside the Hotel Color capture bizarre, erratic behavior. The footage shows Lars hiding in the hotel elevator. He paces the hallways. He looks out of the windows, staring into the dark street, convinced that assassins sent by the Bayern Munich fans, or perhaps someone far worse, are waiting for him in the shadows. At 3 a.m., he calls his mother again. He tells her that he had to flee the hotel. He is hiding outside in the dark. For Sandra Mittank, sitting hundreds of miles away in Germany, it is a nightmare of total helplessness. She books him a flight and bus tickets, begging him to just go to the airport when the sun comes up. She tells him that once he is at the airport, he will be safe. Airports have security. Airports have cameras. When morning finally breaks on July 8th, Lars does exactly that. He flags down a cab and heads to Varna Airport. Lars arrives at Varna Airport. He calls his mother one last time. He tells her he is at the terminal. Sandra breathes a massive sigh of relief. He made it. The nightmare is over. He just needs to see the airport doctor, get clearance for his ear, and get on the plane. Lars walks into the airport medical center and sits down with Dr. Kosta Kostov. Dr. Kostov later describes Lars's behavior as highly unusual. Lars is nervous. His eyes are darting around the small, sterile room. He is visibly exhausted, completely on edge, examining the doctor with deep suspicion. Dr. Kostov examines the ear. He tells Lars that the rupture is healing, but it is still risky to fly. He suggests Lars might want to wait a bit longer or perhaps take a train. While they are having this conversation, the door to the medical clinic opens. A construction worker walks into the room. He is an employee of the airport working on a renovation project in the terminal, and he simply steps into the clinic to speak to the medical staff. It is an entirely innocent, mundane interruption, but for Lars Mittank, sitting in that chair, his brain flooded with adrenaline, sleep deprivation, and a terror we cannot comprehend. That construction worker is not an innocent man. To Lars, the assassins have found him. Lars stands up. He looks at the doctor, panic radiating from his eyes. He mutters a single sentence. I don't want to die here. I have to get out of here. What happens next is the footage the entire world has seen. Lars does not grab his rolling suitcase. He does not grab his cell phone. He leaves his wallet and his passport on the doctor's desk. He bolts out of the clinic door. The airport security cameras pick him up. The timestamps track his movements frame by frame. We see Lars walking fast through the terminal. Then he breaks into a jog. As he approaches the automatic sliding glass doors of the main entrance, the jog becomes a dead sprint. He is wearing a bright yellow t-shirt and denim shorts. He bursts through the doors into the blinding Bulgarian sunlight. He runs across the drop-off lanes. He runs through the parking lot, weaving between cars. He is looking over his shoulder, but in the footage, there is absolutely no one chasing him. The people in the parking lot just stop and stare as this young German tourist runs like his life depends on it. Lars reaches the perimeter of the airport grounds. He encounters an 8-foot-tall security fence topped with barbed wire. He doesn't hesitate. He scales the fence, dropping down into the brush on the other side. Beyond the fence lies an expansive, dense field of towering sunflowers, eventually giving way to a deep, tangled forest and an adjacent highway. Lars Mittank disappears into the yellow sea of sunflowers, and from that second on, the timeline of his life abruptly ends. He has never been seen again. When someone vanishes in broad daylight, leaving their entire life behind on a doctor's desk, the human brain demands an explanation. Investigators, medical professionals, and internet sleuths have torn this case apart for a decade. If we look at the evidence objectively, there are 3 main theories. Theory 1, foul play. Did the men he fought with in the bar actually put a hit out on him? Did he witness something illegal at the resort, like a drug deal or human trafficking, and become a target? The reality, it is incredibly unlikely. The fight at the bar was a drunken sports argument. People do not hire professional assassins over a football rivalry. Furthermore, the CCTV footage at the airport is clear. When Lars is running through the parking lot, he is alone. No one is pursuing him. If a cartel or a gang wanted him dead, they wouldn't wait for him to be inside an airport medical clinic to make their move. Theory 2, a traumatic brain injury. When Lars was beaten up outside the restaurant, he sustained a ruptured eardrum. Is it possible he also suffered a severe concussion or a subdural hematoma? The reality, head trauma can absolutely cause sudden personality changes, confusion, and paranoia. A slow brain bleed could have taken days to manifest, peaking right as he was alone in the hotel Colordon. Theory 3, medication-induced psychosis. This is the theory that haunts the medical community. Lars was prescribed cefuroxime 500. It is a common, widely used antibiotic. However, in extremely rare cases, cefuroxime has been documented to cause severe psychiatric side effects, including acute paranoia, hallucinations, and full-blown psychosis. Combine a rare adverse reaction to a drug with severe sleep deprivation, the pain of a ruptured eardrum, the anxiety of being left alone in a foreign country, and the underlying stress of the physical assault. It is the perfect storm. The tragic reality is almost certainly that Lars Mittank was fleeing a threat that existed entirely inside his own mind. His brain, betrayed by trauma or medication, convinced him that he was fighting for his survival. But understanding why he ran doesn't answer the most agonizing question. Where is he? The sunflower field bordering Varna Airport is massive. Beyond it is a forest and a highway. Search dogs, police teams, and drones scoured the area for weeks. If Lars succumbed to the elements, dehydration, or an injury he sustained while climbing the barbed wire fence, his remains should have been found. The area is rural, but it is not an impassable, infinite wilderness. Could he have hitched a ride on the highway? Could he have crossed the border? Without a passport, without a phone, and without a single euro to his name, how could a young German man in a bright yellow shirt simply evaporate into the atmosphere? It has been a decade since Lars Mittank sprinted out of Varna Airport. In Germany, his mother, Sandra, has never given up. She has spent her life savings hiring private investigators. She has appeared on television across Europe. She manages social media pages dedicated to finding him, chasing down hundreds of reported sightings, homeless men in Berlin, drifters in Poland, patients in psychiatric wards. Every time she waits for the DNA results with bated breath. And every time her heart is broken all over again. When you watch that famous security footage, you aren't just watching an internet mystery. You are watching the exact moment a mother lost her son. You are watching a man whose mind has built a prison of absolute terror, driving him to leave the safety of the world behind and run straight into the abyss. The sunflowers of Varna have bloomed and died 10 times since that July morning, and whatever secrets they hold, they refuse to give up. If you have any information regarding the disappearance of Lars Mittank, or if you think you have seen him, please contact the German Federal Police or your local authorities. His family is still waiting for him to come home. What do you believe happened after Lars crossed that fence? Was it a tragic medical reaction, a hidden head injury, or was he truly running from something we couldn't see? I want to read your theories. Leave a comment down below and let's discuss the evidence. If this story gripped you, please hit the like button and share this episode. The more eyes we get on these unsolved cases, the better chance we have of bringing answers to the families left behind. Make sure to subscribe to Dark Files and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a case. We have many more dark, twisting roads to travel down together. Thank you for listening. Stay vigilant, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next file.